Before I get started, I just wanted to say to my wonderful wife and my family, thanks for coming out and supporting Dad. Guys, this is only going to take a couple minutes, so just hang in there, listen to Mom, and pretend you like me. All right? So I was thinking on the way over here, what an amazing age we live in. When my grandfather was a young man, he took a team of horses from a farm out in Pattison Park and drove them into Superior, 18 miles. That trip took him all day. All day. Now we casually board a plane and fly at 30,000 feet, barely pondering that we are among the rare human beings in the history of the world to look out and see the earth from above the clouds. Rarely crosses our mind. Imagine a team of horses to almost routine, mundane flights happening in one man's lifetime, my grandfather's, probably your grandparents as well. The television, the computers, the phone in every home, a man landing on the moon, one lifetime. Today we are on the cusp of another century of transformation, one even more stunning, I believe, than the one our parents just went through in the 20th century. For the last several months, I've had the privilege to work with an inspired group of people on a project to bring Google ultra-high-speed internet access to the Twin Ports. This effort, when successful, will impact the entire region. Just as our ports, rail, trucking, and interstate highway system made this area vital to the building of America, so too will high-speed, ultra-high-speed internet. In the information age, the speed of the network matters. The speed of the network matters. Today, the United States is 19th in the world. 19th. That's not going to cut it. Our goal should be nothing less than the world's fastest access to the data of the information age. We cannot be a nation driving a team of horses while our competitors in the world are flying supersonic. Today also happens to be the birthday of Wisconsin. Wisconsin was admitted to the Union on May 29th, 1848. So on this, the 162nd year of our being part of this great nation, I am struck by the state motto. I'm inspired by the state motto. Forward. And that's where we want to keep our focus. We want to keep our focus forward. While some will howl about taking us back to a place of some indeterminate time and place, we need to keep our focus forward. And we need to keep our focus on the tasks that will move us in that direction. Now is not the time to wring our hands and become paralyzed by fear. When others get fearful, we must take action and we must lead. We live in a global marketplace. That's the reality. And we are going to face global competition on a scale that has never existed in human history. And we should welcome that challenge. To be the best, you have to compete against the best. I learned that right here in Superior, Wisconsin. A lesson that stuck with me even as I trained for the Olympics. You don't get better by ducking the competition. In America, we don't shield our head, cover our ears, and hope the world goes away. That's not us. We step to the center of the ring, and we work so that our children and grandchildren inherit a better world. We are a nation of immigrants, a group of people that risked everything to forge a new life in a new land. Challenges are nothing new to the character of this country. However, to compete, we must prepare. It's not enough to mouth the words and rattle the platitudes. Make no mistake, the generations that came before us left us a legacy that is not easily matched. They built a nation that produces nearly 1/3 of the Earth's economic activity. A nation that was brought together by the common bonds of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. A people whose entrepreneurial spirit was protected by the men and women that we honor this weekend. Men and women who gave their lives to defend the Constitution that continues to guide this American experiment of democracy and freedom. So, let us shake off the laurels of complacency and prepare for the competition of the world, as they are surely to bring it. Let us together take the action so that the United States remains the place where talent and capital clamor to be a part of. No longer can we kick the can down the road to another Congress, another administration, another generation. It is for us, now. No longer can we say someday. because the world is on the march and they are not waiting for someday. They have reformed their economies, they've invested in world-class infrastructure, and then they have invested in their people. They've invested in world-class education. And make no mistake, the world is preparing to beat us at our very own game of capitalism. Ladies and gentlemen, today is someday. It'll be up to all of us to improve. Not just some abstract, happy talk about improving our government or improving our businesses, for they are us. For us to move forward, we must all advance. To some of our competitors in the world, our whole nation's population is nothing more than a rounding error. We need every one of our citizens in this fight and in this effort. We can't afford to leave anyone behind. We all have our someday list, don't we? I know I do. We'll all have that advanced degree someday. We'll learn another language someday. Someday we'll figure out how to maximize that computer and make our lives more productive. Someday we're going to start a new business. Someday we're going to go back and get that GED, go into college and change our life. Someday. Someday we'll get back in shape. Someday we'll be better parents, better friends, better neighbors. Someday this nation will fix the deficit. Someday we'll ensure that the retirement will be there for generations to come, and we will reform our educational system so that our children can compete with the best and the brightest of the world. Someday we'll make the investments that our citizens need so that our citizens can have the jobs of the 21st century. Someday we'll finally get serious about leading the world in clean and green technologies, and we'll remove our dependency on oil. Someday this will happen. Someday we will end the polarization of Washington and work together for the common good regardless of political party. Because the men and women who died in our wars, marched in our streets, risked their life and limb to come to our shores, are staring at us through the pages of history. And they are saying, today is someday. Today is someday. The people we honor in this hall, today is someday. A place where a child can grow up in Superior, Wisconsin, see the world and say, you know what? Someday I'm going to run for Congress and put my energies towards making a difference. Well, today is someday. I'm Joe Reasbeck, and I'm running for Congress in District 7 in the great state of Wisconsin. And I'm excited about it, and I hope you are too. In closing, it is altogether fitting and proper and necessary that we take a moment to recognize that this is Memorial Day. And this is Memorial Day weekend. So I'd like to finish with the famous words of Abraham Lincoln. And he said, "The world will little note nor long remember what we say here, but it can never forget what they did here. It is for us, the living rather, to be dedicated here to the unfinished work which they who fought here have so far thus nobly advanced. It is rather for us to be here dedicated to the great task remaining before us, that from these honored dead we will take increased devotion to the cause for which they gave the last full measure of devotion. That we here highly resolve that these dead shall not have died in vain, and that this nation, under God, shall have a new birth of freedom, and that government of the people, by the people, and for the people shall not perish from this earth." Thank you very much. God bless all of you on this Memorial Day weekend.